Do you like hiring a service provider and then never hearing from them? You're paying them all this money. You're like an ATM to them. Does that appeal to you? It didn't to Larry Hoover, and he made an extreme decision because of it. Larry, welcome. Thanks for talking to us. What was your situation in this regard?
Thanks for having me, Craig. Yeah, great question. About 8 years ago, I transitioned my career from the corporate sales world, and I thought about, or it was brought to my attention about home and auto insurance and so on. So I thought about that, and I honestly said to myself, it's a boring topic. I never paid much attention to it at all. I just paid my annual premium, never made a claim, and so on. And then I sat back and thought, over those years, I've spent about $95,000 on premiums. And about $14,000 of that went to commissions to brokers who never proactively called me or emailed me, never asked me questions or updated my life in any way at all. So my relationship was essentially with Canada Post. I didn't know if I was properly protected. We all assume we're properly protected, but we definitely know how much we pay. So we're all conditioned to think price, save, and discount, so on. So I said to myself, I'm going to be different. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be very visible and transparent and show people how they are properly protected or not. And an interesting stat I saw at that time was a study that was made that stated that people spend more time doing research on a new flat screen TV, for example, than they do understanding whether the largest physical assets they might ever own in their life are properly protected or not. And I thought that was crazy when I saw that. So I thought I can be different. I'm going to be different. I'm going to educate. I'm going to wake people up, and I'm going to help them, whether they buy insurance from me or not. So my goal out there, honestly, Craig, is to reduce the bad stories that I hear from families in our community.
So you were so disgusted with the way you were being treated by insurance, you got into insurance to change the way it was being done for people.
Absolutely. And I knew that I could be different. And my biggest differentiator, I'm told, is how I educate folks. And again, we don't know if we're properly protected. We don't understand what the coverages mean. We don't know what coverages are more important than others and why. And that really favors the insurance companies. The less we know and understand, the more it favors them. But we darn well know what we're paying because that's how we're conditioned when you think about it.
Yeah, most people would rather have their fingernails pulled out than spend an hour talking about insurance. So, but as you said, that just leaves you vulnerable. How do you do this differently than other people?
Yeah, so like my 20,000 plus licensed competitors in Ontario who say something along the lines of, hey, let me quote you and see if I can save you some money. What I say is, let's see if you're properly protected, earning all the discounts that you should be earning, and let's see if you're paying a fair premium. So a number of years ago, I created something called a policy review report. So I do this for people's primary residence, cottages, rentals, and cars. So picture a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet with 5 different columns, what your coverages are. There's about 30 to 40 line items there. Next to that, I placed my very best quote amongst all of my companies. And here's the magic, side by side with your current policy. So you're going to see a side by side. And finally, explanations of those 30 to 40 line items explained in plain language so people will understand it and it's not insurance talk. So that's really the biggest difference. So clients tell me that they can look at that report months or even years later and it will still make sense, whether they buy anything from me or not. The other part of that is that they're going to see red lines, and red lines are not good, and some are worse than others. For example, there's about 8 or 9 of them that might state to you possibly hearing claim denied, we're going to pay you nothing. Now that's the worst thing you could ever hear from your insurance company. And it's shocking how vulnerable people are, and they don't even know it until they go through this exercise with me. So as I say, some clients buy from me, but others, if my pricing is not competitive, they're going to get this report and they will talk to their current insurance provider and fix it so that they are properly protected.
How much does it cost someone to get this report from you?
Today, I do this free.
You do that for free. So the downside to talking to you is nothing. And the upside is you can find out, where your house may not be covered if you have a disaster.
Absolutely. That's correct. There is absolutely no downside to this as long as people are willing to share with me maybe 45, 60 minutes while we go over this report together. So I don't just send them paperwork and disappear.
So, Larry, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, I believe my contact information is listed there. So my cell number, I'm one of those rare brokers who actually gives everybody my personal cell number. So I'm available after hours and weekends as well, too, which people really love. And there's also my email address, which ironically says larry@policyreviews.ca. That's what I do. That's my biggest differentiator. I'd be happy to help protect folks out there.
Well, Larry, I love the reason you got into this is because you didn't like it. And that's a great reason to change things, is because you know you can do it better. Thank you so much for spending the time to talk to us about that.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity, Craig.